Hey friends! Today we are going to get to do a little bit of harvesting. This is my butterfly enclosure in case anybody hasn't seen it. We did have 8 swallowtails come out of there this morning, so I'm sorry I did not catch that on video. One of these days, maybe I will. It is bright, bright and sunny, super, super hot. We are mostly doing some herbs for freeze drying today. We have an empty freeze dryer and plenty of things to fill it with. So we are going to try and figure out where we can set up so that you can see that. Let's see. All right, so this is the oregano. There's chives in here too. The chives went to flower. They're going to seed now. They are still totally edible, and I could take some of those, but I just don't need any chives dried up right now. So I'm mostly just going to come in here and get handfuls of oregano, and if some chives get in there, we will just get them out later. I am going to try and get all of these down a good bit. Some are getting a little unruly. Now, if you're doing this really carefully, if you can look here, you're going to cut right above where this separates and there's this double, because then when it grows back, it'll grow 2 different stems. And if you were being really careful about your harvesting, you would do that to each stem individually. I take handfuls. So, we do the best we can with the time that we have. So today we are just doing handfuls and handfuls of this oregano. It will look very sad for a week or 2, and then it'll pop right back up again. I grow oregano in a container because just like many other things, mint and lemon balm and all of that good stuff, it can literally grow like a weed. Speaking of which, we also have this beautiful mint plant in a container, and we will also harvest a bunch of this. And it's the same thing. If you were really trying to get the most bang from your buck and make it a bigger, bushier plant, you would cut right at where 2 leaves come together, and then it would put on 2 different stems and grow from there. This is a sweet mint. My husband likes to use it in tea. We have some other friends who sometimes we give it to, so we're just going to get a bunch of that today too. And again, it grows like a weed, so I'm not going to be particularly careful with it. Just cutting it back. We have a little thyme plant in here too. I am not currently harvesting this thyme. We're letting it grow some better roots in here. It just got transplanted in here. But soon enough, it does seem very happy, so we will probably be able to take some of that thyme pretty soon too. All right, like I said, these plants do not look super happy after you chop all that off. But if you've ever grown oregano or mint, you will know that they literally, just like weeds, they will pop back up and grow like crazy pants. since we are out here, quick update on our sweet potatoes. These ridiculously hot days, these sweet potatoes are loving. They're putting on all kinds of new leaves. I'm just having a field day with that. All right, we are also going to go in the back and grab some calendula. If all of that is not enough to take up all the space in my freeze dryer, I have a ton of kale that I would like to cut and freeze dry up for green powder for the winter. But I have a feeling I'm not going to have enough room in the freeze dryer for that. All right, while I am out here in the backyard, I do want to show you a few things just because they're so pretty. These are our poppies. We have them, they're everywhere. And these are snapdragons. We did get this seed from M.I. Gardner, and these are orange. Ooh, what are they? Sorry. Oh, sorry, these are from Johnny Seeds, and they are Monaco orange. Monaco orange. And they are gorgeous. They're this beautiful pink and orange color. Get little bees climbing in them. I don't know if you saw that one, but little French just climbed right in there to get some nectar. This is the kale that is growing wildly out of control, that desperately needs some trimming and to be dealt with. But again, if we have room, we'll do it. If we don't have room, we won't. All right, there was one other thing in here that I wanted to show you that I am super excited about. I wonder if it's gonna be hard to get at. It's in kind of an odd space in the garden. All right, cutting through, tomato plants hitting me every which way. But this is where the excitement is, because you see that? That is our first ripe tomato of the season. This is Sun Gold. So that's actually the color that it gets. And I am super excited because it is the middle of June. Our plants are huge. They are in a 2-foot raised bed, but they are to the top of my head now. So they are 3.5 feet tall, 4 feet tall, and very, very happy. And I am super excited about those. We have lots of other good things growing, but we'll do a full garden tour some other day. Today was mostly just for harvesting. But I wanted to show you my very first tomato harvest of the season. All right. All right, we have tons of calendula in here. So these orange flowers are the calendula, and they are all throughout here. We're not going to take all of them, but we are going to take a good bunch of them. We are going to freeze dry them. Eventually, we were going to get around to making a salve from the calendula. It's really good for people with sensitive skin. But they do need to be very, very dry so that they can get infused in oil, and then you use that oil to make a salve. So for now, we're going to mainly be beheading a bunch of our, you can see most of it. All right, friends, that is it for the harvest. Now we're going to take this stuff inside and get it ready. All right, friends, let's see how much of this takes up our freeze dryer trays. This is all organically grown, nothing is sprayed on them, and the herbs come from those buckets out front, so they're really not particularly dirty. These are not things that tend to have pests on them, but feel free to wash before you freeze dry if that is your preference. I feel reasonably comfortable just taking these straight from the garden and putting them in here. You can also take the time to, separate your leaves from your stems. I think that for the mint, it's almost just as easy to use it as tea without having ever done that. For the oregano, sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. So that is most of a tray of calendula, which I've never had that much of a tray of calendula before. Probably most of the oregano will be able to go on one tray. We will have to pick out the chive blossoms that are mixed in with this stuff. But this mint smells so good, guys. Oh my gosh. It is not peppermint. I know most people prefer peppermint for their tea, but I just like a little bit of a sweeter mint, so this is like a spearmint. We used to have a chocolate mint plant out front, but strangely enough, it was in with the oregano, and the oregano did a very good job of taking over. So it is not in that container anymore, which again, for any of you who've grown mint before, it is pretty hard to kill off mint, so we were very impressed with that. So I'm just taking out little sticks, you know, dead leaves, things that just don't need to be in here. But the rest of this will go just as it is. Let's see. So much mint. I just want to make sure I'm getting the oregano out separately, and then we'll go through the mint a little bit more in detail. And then once we've got this stuff in the freeze dryer, we will start showing you how we make yogurt. Now I make yogurt from scratch. I don't have a cow. I don't have access to fancy fresh milk of any kind. So I do just use milk from the grocery store. But I really like vanilla flavored yogurt in my smoothies, and I don't really like the extra sugar that comes in vanilla yogurt that comes in the store. And the store says, don't worry, I have it all figured out for you. We will just make vanilla yogurt with sugar alternatives. And that's all well and good, but I don't like sugar alternatives. I don't want any of them. Fake sugar is just not for me. And so I don't want it, but I would like my yogurt to taste like vanilla. So I just flavor my milk during the process with vanilla, and then I have vanilla yogurt that doesn't have any added sugar in it. And that is what works for me. Everybody's got to do things that work for them, but I will show you how I do that. Now that I've told you a little bit about why I do that. In a few minutes here, I'm just going to finish up this, and we'll move on to that. All right, so there we have it. 1 tray of oregano, 2 trays of mint, and this tray with mostly calendula and a little bit of oregano down at the end. These stack very easily, so I will take them all in one stack, although I say that and my oregano falls right off. We'll go put these in the freeze dryer and be right back. All right, friends, so this is literally one of the easiest foods that you could possibly make. Yes, you 100% can just buy your yogurt if that is how you like it. Buy it, but it just does not come the way that I like. So I literally just make a gallon at a time. You take the entire gallon of milk. I'm using whole milk, but you could make it skim, you could make it whatever you want because you're making it. And I make a gallon at a time because I really do go through it in a week, week and a half. And it stays good for that long in the fridge. So this is super easy. I buy my vanilla beans just on Amazon. USDA organic Madagascar vanilla beans. I just need 1. They're much, much cheaper when you buy them 10 at a time on Amazon than if you buy them 1 at a time in the grocery store. And I just need 1 for a batch of yogurt. I could probably do this with vanilla extract, but it really doesn't have that same vanilla flavor. And it really helps me keep from using too much sugar if I use vanilla. So I don't usually do this on top of the pot, but it's hard to get angles here, right? So just a cutting board, tip of a knife, run it right down that vanilla bean, and then I run the flat against it, and we get all those vanilla beans out. Do you see those? And both those and the rest of the pod just go right into the pot. I do like to do this before I warm it. And I do warm it. So there's a couple different ways to make yogurt, but the one that gets you actual thick yogurt, you do have to warm the milk first. We basically warm it to a pasteurized temperature. Since I bought store-bought, it was pasteurized before, but it doesn't work unless I pasteurize it right now. So I bring it up to 180 degrees on the stovetop. This doesn't take terribly long. It should take, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 minutes at a medium-high temperature to come up to temperature. Once it is 180 degrees, I will take it off and then let it cool down. It has to cool back down or it will kill off the yogurt starter that I'm going to put in here. There's a lot of different ways to get yogurt starters. You could buy them on Amazon, Azure, lots of different places out there that you can buy yogurt starters. I just buy a very small container of yogurt from the store when I'm starting a new batch. My last batch just didn't seem quite right, so I decided to start over with a new starter. But once you've got your yogurt running, you can just use your own yogurt as the starter for the next batch. But hold on 2 seconds. I'll show you what I've got this time. I just got Faye. It has live cultures in here, and I happen to like the way that these bacteria taste, but you can make yogurt with a different strains of bacteria, so they'll taste all a little bit different. And I will be making this into Greek yogurt, so I will eventually show you how I strain it. But first, I'm just going to let it come up to temperature. We'll be back. Okay, I think this is getting pretty close here. So I'm just using an instant read thermometer, just a kitchen, it's one of my favorite kitchen utensils. Cook my meat just right, I make my yogurt just right. It's been very, very helpful. So this says we are, I don't know if you can see that from there, about 173. So we're just going to stand here for another few minutes until it gets up to that 180 mark, and then just remove it from the stove and let it sit until it is cooled down, typically to about 110 degrees. And the 110, 115, somewhere in that range is the temperature that the bacteria really likes to grow at. So once it gets down to that temperature, then we can add the starter culture, and then we'll leave it with a top on it in a warm spot in the kitchen for, I like, at least 12 hours. The longer you leave it, the more yogurty it tastes. So if you want it a little bit less, you can leave it for, as little as 8 hours for some people. But this is it, guys. This is how easy this is. I don't have an Instant Pot. I don't do this with any kind of fancy equipment. I have one sort of fancy thing that I'll show you that helps me make it into a Greek yogurt, but even that, super easy to get on Amazon and not real hard to use. So I'll show you that when we get to that step, which for me will be 12 hours from now, but for you guys will be fairly shortly. All right, we are at 179.8. So close. All right, 180. If you can see that. As it comes out, it cools off really rapidly. All right, so we're going to turn the heat off, and then, grateful for granite counters, we are just going to go ahead and put this right on the counter to cool. I'm going to leave it top half on it just to kind of keep it covered. It will take longer to cool that way. So we will come back to this in probably an hour or so it'll take to cool off, and add that yogurt starter. I promise it is the easiest thing ever. I'm not even going to show you that part. I literally take this, I put it in that big pot, I use a little whisk to whisk it in, cover the pot, put it someplace warm. Typically, I will put it in my oven with just the oven light on. That's usually enough to keep it at the right temperature overnight. Because it is so warm today, I will probably just leave it out on the counter, and that will be warm enough to keep it where it needs to be. But I will come back in the morning when it has set and show you what that looks like and what I do with it then to make it into a thicker Greek yogurt. All right, I'll see you in the morning. Hey friends, so it is the next morning, and we are going to get ready to turn our yogurt into Greek yogurt. So I did end up putting it in the oven overnight just to kind of help it stay at temperature. So I'm just gathering some supplies here. So again, I use this mostly for smoothies, so I just like it a little bit thicker. I like the whey kind of strained out of it. That's most of the lactose, so the sugars that are in it, and it concentrates the proteins. So that's just what I'm looking for. You are certainly okay to just eat it the way that it is right now. But when I strain it, I just get a big pot. This is probably not necessary, but it's the one that fits my strainer the best. I put a strainer in it, but that is not small enough holes. The yogurt will just go right through that. So that's mostly just to hold my bag. So this is the fancy piece of equipment that I was saying. It's a nut milk bag. You can make nut milks in this. You know, if you put cashews in water and let them sit for a while, you can then strain that through this. I use it when I make cranberry juice and other kinds of stuff. So I have a few of these. This is the one that I use for yogurt, and it's so easy, guys. So this is what it looks like set up. You can see it's kind of congealed in there. Let me just scoop it out. Actually, today it kind of looks thinner than it usually does, which is interesting to me because it was definitely warmer than it usually is. Tastes good though. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and pour it today. Some days I need to really scoop it because it's not pourable. But I just stirred that up enough that it is now, I think, going to be pourable. So we're just gonna go ahead and pour it. I have to adjust it just a little here. And that's it. Then I just let it sit. I think because it's a little bit runnier today, I'll probably just let it sit on the counter for a little bit. But most of the time I would take this, put this top on it, fits just fine on this pot, and put it in the refrigerator. That's it, guys. That's how easy it is to make Greek yogurt. I will show you how thick it is. I probably won't even. It gets really thick, just like Greek yogurt. So that's it, folks. I will, I think the freeze dryer is actually also ready. So let me clear off this counter and then I will show you what all that looks like too. All right, guys, so this is all of our freeze-dried goodies. Because this is stuff I will use it very quickly. This will probably just go in mason jars, but I don't know if you can see this. It's really still bright green and lovely. This is what those calendula flowers look like. I don't know if you can see that. Here, let's pick a, there's some that are a little more bright orange. They just dry. So pretty. So again, we'll just get these things jarred up, and they are ready for dried herb uses. This stuff will stay in a mason jar for just as long as any of your other dried herbs. If you wanted to keep it for long-term storage, there are Mylar bags that you would get if you properly store it in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. This stuff can last for 25-30 years, and it maintains 95% of its nutritional value, which is not true of other forms of dehydrating or drying that use heat. You lose significantly more. So I'm excited about this. We got a lot of great stuff today, and I'll be back next time with more.